Good morning, everybody. Welcome to FMA Discussion. This is episode 323. Sorry, 323. And today we have the infamous internet sensation guru, Daniel Bernas. And I'm so glad this is happening. Seems like a great young man. We're going to be bringing him on, hearing about what he's doing, what he's accomplishing, tournaments, and so forth, and all that. So if you have questions, please let us know. And without further ado, I am going to be bringing him up.
Hello, am I here?
Yay! How are you?
Oh, hello, I'm good. Good morning. Good morning.
So it's 10. All right. So we got 10 o'clock your time over
Good
in the
evening here. Good morning there. Ending
so
my day with this.
so you're so I take it you don't mind hanging out late.
Oh yeah, I sleep at like 2 a.m., 4 a.m. So it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, don't worry. We won't keep you. We won't keep you too long. So yeah. So just looking up your stuff. I mean, obviously I mean, for a young guy, you're accomplishing a lot. And so
Thank you.
um, so I guess was there a pre FMA martial arts background? Like, did you do anything prior to FMA?
I mean, I've dabbled with like the usual things. Well, usual here like taekwondo, karate. Just growing up, I tried these things. None of them really like clicked as much as Ernie. So like when I tried it, it just went on from there.
Yeah, same with me. Like, I mean, I did it because I wasn't aware of anything else until then when I saw the other side. Yeah, all that stuff just got yeah tossed to the side. Yeah, same experience here. So, what led you to FMA? At what age?
Yeah, so I was already 17, turning 18. It was my first year of college. It was the first semester. I took it as a physical education class. So it was elective. It wasn't a required class. You're allowed to choose what sports you take. And I took it, and then I was introduced to the sport aspect from there. Actually, before that, I had it as a very short class in grade school, but it also just didn't click. It was just the usual Sinawali patterns that
Yeah,
are kind of generically taught sometimes in grade school here. But yeah, so in college, I got introduced to the sport aspect, and the instructor had a lot of background also and a lot of experience with the sport. So it felt more immersive, it felt more interesting. And then from there, I joined the varsity team in the college and just kept training from there.
wow, that's so interesting. I'm so glad you guys do that over there. Like you actually incorporate it in the college curriculum and all. I think that's just so neat that like that's
Yeah,
done to perpetuate the arts. I think that's just so
I think
phenomenal.
so.
They're doing that over there. So it started to resonate with you in college.
Hmm. Yeah.
So much that you joined. So far as the varsity team, is it something like you had to try out for, or you just joined, or
The varsity team in the university I went to is very welcoming of newcomers, especially for the Ernie's team. So just me wanting to come, they let me in, and really just as long as you train and you're training well and you're competing, you can stay.
okay. So I know it's in the college. Was it based on a particular system or?
Right. The system that I first studied in, so that in college, is the Kamao system. It stands for Kali Arnis Martial Arts Organization. And it's an eclectic style, so it has roots in modern Arnis, Cruzada Arnis, some Illustrissimo, some Moro Moro or Abis General, and maybe some other stuff that I forgot. But it's an eclectic style. So in the training we got there is a mix of different things, and but there was a lot of emphasis also as the varsity players in the sport aspect.
Wow, that is definitely an eclectic blend. Jeez. And who was the teacher?
So the founders of that is Grandmaster Richard Gallego and Master Ryan Gallego. So brothers.
And they're still active to this day teaching it.
I don't really teach so much anymore. It's really just the content. So when we say teaching, maybe I'll post a tutorial or two. But lately, I kind of just got focused on other things, and teaching was one of the things that I kind of set aside for now.
Wow. So all right. So then throughout your 4 years or so in college, you just stayed with
Mhm.
this, kept training it,
Yeah,
and then so
and
far as the
after just
system,
kept going. Yeah.
yeah. So far as the system being eclectic, but is it fair to say it was mostly stick based?
Um, Hmm. No, well, we're that style that I trained in has training for all the usual weapons that you might find in FMA. So sticks, swords, knives. But I think different people who come in will train differently based on what they want to focus on. And so for example, with me, I was really focused more on the sport. So I didn't get too much into like the self defense aspects and things like that. Something that I'm recently also just exploring a bit more is like, for example, like working with a blade. That's something that I had some experience in back then, just for exhibition stuff, meaning like fancy movement and stuff like that. But as I'm meeting people like Brandon, it shows me, the nuances that I'm not so familiar with. So yeah, so I would say that not it's not the style per se that's stick based, but just my personal experience and my practice was very stick focused.
Actually, that's a great way to put it. Like there was offerings there, but you just kind of
Yeah,
gravitated toward the
right,
stick.
right.
And yeah, yeah, no, 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 fair enough. Um, so then went into, I guess, during the excuse me, during the college, your tenure there, like what I guess led you to want to really get good, or like, I mean, what was, I guess, what spoke to you as far as like you wanted to really go deep in this?
It was really the sport and the competitiveness of it. I think I've just always been competitive, and then I found this sport that I really had a fun time. But then, just to be specific, the sport that we're really focusing on is the point sparring aspect, because you have the WECA formats, and then you have the point sparring formats with the padded stick. It was the point sparring that got me into it. But then from there, I kind of branched out. I started liking the exhibition stuff. I started liking the WECA live stick stuff. So just branching out from there. But really, it's just the sense of um, doing something that's fun and I can be competitive at it. So that just clicked for me.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, you can see it. I mean, just in that opening video, it was kind of like a taste of everything as far as what you were doing, as far as competitions and so forth and all that. So did you, during during the college and all that, was there a ranking structure, or was it more or less you're joining this team, you're kind of choosing what your lane you're in and what you like, but was there was
Mhm.
there options to get rank or?
Yeah, that was on the table. What do you call this? So you have the varsity team, which is focused on the sport, but then you also have the style's own curriculum in martial arts, so you can go up the ranks there and things like that. If that's something you're into, there's actually a lot of varsity players that really just focus on the sport, so that's not something they went for. Then there's others who do go for that and things like that.
They would go in the rank lane in there. Okay, all right. And you did both. It sounds like.
Yeah, I did both.
Oh, that's good.
I yeah, yeah.
so, um, so do you? I mean, so having the rank that you have now, besides we're gonna get into the competing aspect and all that. What you do. Um, do you teach it? Like, so what you learned in college, I guess, do you actively teach it or no?
Not at the moment. Yeah, like not at the moment. Not really teaching. But I did. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm at the moment not really actively teaching or sharing any particular like style or something like that. I think something I'm really doing right now also just kind of I went focusing more on me, so I'm like studying and just exploring other things.
Yeah.
Really, my intention right now also is as I'm making this content, making the content I'm making, I'm trying to kind of share FMA like as a whole, as opposed to like focusing on one thing or something like that. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. No, no, no. I definitely get it. It's kind of what I tried to achieve here.
Yeah, exactly right.
you know. Um, so then, okay. So you're in there, and you want to start. Obviously, you want to compete, or you want to at least try it during your college. So at what age was like your first competition? Like what age did you start?
Um, so I think some interesting background there is so I started in 2009, and it's actually so I took it as a PE class around June. I was in the varsity, let's say sometime in maybe like later that year, I think. Um, wait, I'm trying to think. No, sorry. Technically, I joined the since that was June. I joined the varsity, I think, in the second semester. That was already January, right? Our niece just became the national sport. It was declared the national sport by law in
Right.
2009
So
of
very,
December.
Senator
Right.
Senator McGill, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes, exactly. So it was actually at that point that at least from what I saw, that tournaments started kind of getting a bit more frequent. But when I started, there weren't too many options. So I that was my first year of college. I think my first tournament was December the year after that. So I was already like 19 or just turned 19 at that point. And then from there, I think I would join like two, three tournaments a year. But it was really when I graduated that all these tournaments started popping up, and you can
They
have
started
like
becoming
five
more
or six a year,
popular.
right?
The venues
So that's
started.
that's also, I think, yeah. So I think that's also context as to why I just kept playing and competing. I feel like I didn't get enough there, so I just kept going.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, but it makes sense though. It became the national sport 2010. So as the years were going on, it was picking up
2009.
momentum. Um,
Yeah.
so tell us about the first tournament. I mean, nervous. I mean, what did you do? What did you compete in? What was the venue?
Oh gosh, yeah. So it was in a small covered basketball court at this park, and I was there at like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., and I think my match wasn't until like 6 p.m. So I was just waiting the whole day. It's
Oh
it's
my
one of the things local tournaments are kind of notorious for, just waiting all day and not knowing when you're gonna fight. I lost, by the way, in case anyone's wondering, but yeah, I had one match. I think it was to this guy in the National Police. So I think it was a race to 5 points. I think he got. I think I got. It was like 3-5, something like that. And then so yeah, I waited till 6 p.m., got that match, and then went home.
That's oh my god. You're right. And you can't leave because God forbid they call your name and you left wow, getting there at 8 or 9 and your match is 6. Oh my god.
Yeah, I
That's
think it's getting better
exhausting.
now, but sometimes it happens, especially because there's just so many people, and
Mm.
yeah, there's just so many competitors when things like that happen.
And even back then,
It's hard to
even
finish.
that early, it was also pretty packed, huh?
Yeah, I mean there's I would say there's actually a lot of practitioners who are up for competition, especially school-based practitioners.
Mm.
Coaches or teachers will just bring their kids and their teams to these tournaments. So there's a lot of people who are going to play.
All right, so that first one, you just chose to do sparring based on
Yeah,
5
just the
points.
sparring. Yeah.
Okay, so which is still, I'm assuming, still goes on today. That format.
Yes. Yeah, the point scoring format, it changes from time to time, depends who's organizing it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think a popular way of doing it now is just racing to as many points as you can within 2 minutes, 1 minute, something like that, instead of
Okay.
stopping at the point. But the
Okay.
five thing is, yeah, I still kept going. Yeah.
So that first one, I mean, is it you're waiting all day, you're probably exhausted from waiting all day, the anxiety, and then you go
Yeah,
in
right,
there.
right. I'm pretty tired from that. But I would say I had a lot of fun. Like, I didn't win, but the video I had of that, I watched again and again and again and again. Just like, it's so cool to just see that this is my first tournament, and then I was there. So yeah, it was a very when I did finally get to fight, I totally forgot that I had to wait the entire day for that.
Yeah, right. When it came to time to go, right, that was all left behind.
Right.
Right. So when you're doing this, just so I mean, basically, they in middle is it kind of like go and who gets that, and then so is a point. So I'm assuming is it full gear?
Yeah. So I think that particular one, it was a helmet, groin guard. Yeah, I think that was it. It's the gear also changes from organizer to organizer. What's required, what's not required. Lately, I think they're trying to cover up a bit more, especially because we're trying to make it like really just like trying to market it as like a sport.
Right.
When you remove the gear, the risk of injury increases. Not that we shouldn't, or not that it's not fun to do once in a while, but just to make it more accessible to children, schools, things like that. I think that's why there's a push for more safety equipment in a format that's a little bit easier to watch for parents and things like that.
No, I just think it's phenomenal. I'm just so happy to see the growth and just a reinsurgence, if you will, of it coming up. Just in it, like I tell folks on here on the show, man, if we don't get like over here, it's an issue. Over there, I'm so glad you guys are working that out over there as far as farm team getting the kids involved. But over here, there's a few that do it, but overall, it's not. And I keep telling folks, like, if we don't adopt like what Taekwondo does, for instance, or effective,
They know
really,
what they're doing.
I know, like successful kids programs, is like how we're going to perpetuate these arts. I mean, some of them are going to fall off the radar here in the U.S. if that's not done. And you know, so I think I'm so glad you guys are doing that over there. So, all right. So, so the points are just his. Like in other words, going back to your first match there, was it
Yeah.
based on okay, if you got a headshot, maybe it's more points. If you got a hand shot,
Yeah. So the format is first to hit. So again, there's lots of different variations to that, but at the core of it is, when you have an encounter, the first one to land contact gets that point. So even if you both hit each other, it's the first person that gets a point. Back then, it had this flow of, you just keep going in out, and the practitioners separate themselves. And sometimes they'll even score that last hit if as long as it was clean. But lately they're trying to polish it a bit, so a lot of like Pekka, they're trying to keep the format a bit cleaner, where when someone scores a point, you're gonna stop the match, award the point, and then continue, just so that it's clear to the audience, it's clear to the practitioners, everything's transparent.
okay, okay. So, how many, generally speaking, well, I mean, I know that it's probably changed, but back then, how many judges were there?
The usual that I would see is three, so three scores from three different corners, and then a referee just managing it.
Just to make sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
sometimes it's three in one side, sometimes it's three in different corners. Again, it varies. I would say the sport's quite young in the sense that, there's still a lot of tweaks that are being made. There's still a lot of experimenting going on. There's still a lot of changes that
Yeah,
and growth, I guess, is what I would say.
yeah. The more it grows and all that, they're gonna evolve it, improve it.
Yeah.
So we got a bunch of folks are saying we got Nick Merchant. Nick Merchant just came back with a gold actually.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. And we got Jew. We got Robert Small, Alvin, Audie, Emmanuel from France. Hey, Paul.
Should open this time. I
All
can't
right.
see the.
So that was your first experience. You waited half a day, actually more than half a day,
Yeah.
and then you.
More than half a day.
So what was the like after that? Do you recall like your next one? And did you do? I guess was it more than just one match?
Yeah, from there it kind of just I don't have a sense of what happens next and like all the in between stuff. But I did really just focus on the point scoring for like a good amount of time. So when I would come to tournaments, there's just that one event and then that one bracket and one division where I would go for. It was like a few years later, I think in my last year of college, where I got interested in the exhibition format.
Hmm.
I'm one of those people where I come in and I want to know how to I like sparring, it's fighting, that's what I want to know. And I see exhibition, I'm like, well, what's that for? Like they're just dancing. So I had that mindset before, but as I played with the art, and then it's like, oh, you know what, this is really fun. I love the free flow of the movement. I love the creative expression, and and it's ironic because. Throughout my years in college, I could never really win any tournaments or sparring matches, and then I tried exhibition and I started winning that before I started winning the sparring tournament. So that was funny. But yeah, like at first I had no interest in it, and then it just grew on me, and then apparently I could be good at it.
Yeah, because I all thought about that, and because I mean, obviously, there's a memorization aspect to what you're doing. I'm assuming, part like you're
Well, the
rehearsing.
way the way I was trained, it was a bit experimental, but I was trained by being given these series of movements that are like short bursts of 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and just I was allowed to just chain them myself and just connect and
Mm,
just free flow and whatever. So whenever I go to a tournament, I just kind of wing it. I don't have any set routines or anything like that. I have these small little bursts of sequences that I like doing and just throwing that in when I feel like it, but I don't have like a general I don't have like a detailed sense of what I'm going to do, so I just kind of I
okay.
just basically I freestyle it. So that's how I go about it. But I do know that most people, or the traditional way of going about it, is to have a set routine and then just polishing that, which makes sense to me. If you're trying to improve it and you're trying to
Yeah.
improve the performance, but I don't like memorizing, so that's also not going to work for me. So I actually have no carried set of memorized routines at all whatsoever
Then
in this head of mine.
no, it's funny you mention that because that's why I never because the aspect which kind of shared for me is that that there was an aspect of memorization we were to do. I would be one of those guys who would wing it. Like, hey, I'm just gonna go out there. What happens, happens. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna try to remember like a
like
30-minute sequence. It's not gonna happen.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. Some people, I guess, are just that's what suits them. Which is
yeah.
so. All right. So from there, you're starting out just point sparring. That's what's. So is it just like now just stick? Far as the point sparring, single stick.
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
I mean, when you were doing the point sparring, was it just based on single
Yeah,
stick?
it was all just single stick. It's actually when we started competing in the WECAF tournaments that I got exposed to other formats and things like that. But the way we do it here locally, it's really just single stick. That's the main sport format that's being done.
As far as the points go. Okay. All right. So all right. So you're just doing that. When did you like? At what age did you start checking out other venues? Whether it was WeCAF, PCAF, or when did that happen?
So where do I start? So I was training for some time even after college. I think it's in 2016 where we started, because until 2016 I was really just doing the padded point and exhibition, and then 2016 we started mingling with other clubs that do live stick tournaments. By live stick I mean like the week style, but there are other variations to it also locally, but something like that, with the heavy gear and then the live stick,
Mhm.
and then there's 10 point must system and things like that. So we started dabbling in that. I started dabbling in that, and then from there going to the week after tournaments and things like that. So this is much later already. Like I'm like 7 years into my training already at that point.
Okay. Um, so when you went there, so that I mean, I guess maybe for the folks who maybe don't know about those two organizations or sanctions, um, just off the top, what is the difference, I guess, between WeCAF and PCAF?
Um. Oh my gosh. Wait. Well, I'm trying to find a way to keep it as simple as possible. So PCAF is the local National Sports Association for Arnis, meaning to say that it's the government recognized body for Arnis as a sport. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the comments, but that's how I understand it. Whereas WECAF is an international organization, that was founded by Doce Pares, if I'm not mistaken. So,
I think
but they
so.
have close
Yeah.
relationships. I mean, the name is similar, and Doce Pares and WECAF um, collaborate and cooperate with PECAF. But yeah, the PECAF is the National Sports Association for Artists. In terms of rule formats, they have similar rule formats. Actually, PECAF has incorporated so many other formats, and that's why we have the usual PECAF live stick events in PECAF tournaments now. But back then, I think at least where I am in the tournaments that I go to, it was a lot more popular for that time to really just do padded point sticks. So now we have the live stick becoming like a mainstream right now.
That's the way I understand it. PCAF being more central to the Philippines,
Yeah, that's
WeCAF,
that's here. The WCAP's
different
international.
countries, heavily Dose Paris influenced. I mean,
Yeah.
that was always
Yeah.
my understanding. So that sounds about right. Do they? And I hear they kind of get along okay. I hear there's some interplay, or starting to be some interplay.
Yeah, I mean they were involved in the formation of PECAP, so I would say that there's a lot of collaboration and cooperation there.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, right. I mean, they should work together. I mean, just
Right.
I mean, but so let's just again for the folks who perhaps know have heard these formats or venues, but maybe perhaps don't understand the rules. So let's start with
Sure.
WeCap. Okay, so somebody
Yeah.
who maybe doesn't know.
Well, I think the way I'll go about it is, so these are two organizations and they host tournaments, and in these tournaments there are particular different formats, and then but the formats are similar. That it's just that With PECAF right now, I think the main formats that they're doing is the exhibition, the live stick sparring, and the point sparring with the padded stick. Whereas WECAF, during the World Championships, they have so many other events that they're running right now. But makes sense, I guess, with PECAF, just focusing on these three things first, since these are the bigger sports, I would say. But anyway, so the popular formats, and I'm gonna go about it like as generically as possible because there are finer nuances depending on who's running the tournament. But the point sparring, usually you have padded sticks and it's first to hit. So the first person to land a shot in a skirmish gets that point, and you're racing to a certain number of points or within a certain number of time. With the live stick, heavy armor sparring, it's kind of like boxing in the sense that you just go at each other. As long as you don't break any rules, the referee's not going to separate you. And then judges will score you based on your performance, your defense, your offense, and things like that. I guess the only difference in boxing is that no one gets knocked out because you have all that
Yeah.
armor. I mean, from what I haven't met anyone who's got knocked out, but I would say it could be possible with an accident. But yeah, so it's you're rated based on performance, and then you have the exhibition. So with the exhibition, there's so many different subcategories with different weapon combinations like
Mhm.
swords, sticks, and so on. But basically, that's where you're performing. So you're showcasing your movements, you're showcasing your techniques and things like that. So those are the three like popular formats. When I went the last time I went to the World Championships in 2018, I think it's similar, but I think it's still similar now the events. But they also have like banghouse sparring, so the long staff. It's still similar to the live stick where they rate you based on performance and you have all the armor. But you have the long staff sparring, you have double stick sparring. There's also knife point sparring, so point system but with a knife. So the world championships are kind of fun because there's just so many events, and then even with
Yeah.
the exhibition, they have categories for teams, they have categories for solos, there's category for traditional, non-traditional, and things like that. So yeah, it's super fun after you did the world championship because there's so much you can do and you can sign up for as many as you can handle.
Yeah, Nick, like I said, Nick Merchant, he's a Cabales guy, and he went over there. And I think I know it was a particular age bracket as well as weight. And he
Yeah,
said it's overwhelming. I mean, just so much going on and all
so
that.
much. Yeah, it's a
So
big event. It's a festival of just playing the sport.
yeah, no, it sounds fantastic as far as the experience. So so in fact there are age brackets in that way. So I mean, it sounds like they start from kids up, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah. You have kids. You have teens. Not super privy to like the exact age brackets, but you have kids, teens, and then you have the young adults, and you also have this more senior divisions as well.
Okay.
Some events, depending on how many people they can get to play, they'll merge it into like an open weight kind of thing or an open age kind of thing. But in general, it's something like that. Like I think the adults would usually be like 80 to 39, and then above 39 would have their own thing.
Yeah, wow. Jesus. And so what is as far as the rules in the weekend, like you were saying, um, like is there certain things that are just you can get disqualified? They're just you can't do, and if so, where are those things?
So I mean, in general, you're allowed to strike anywhere except like really lower extremities. The ones past the armor, like the flying thing. I mean, we get shots in there sometimes. Sometimes some people do it intentionally. Some people sometimes it's an accident, but you're not supposed to go for those parts. Back of the head's not okay because just to be
Yeah.
safe and all. You're not supposed to you're not supposed to like grab each other, but it happens a lot, and then the referee separates them. These arms are okay if you can like grab it really quick and just disarm it. I've
Hmm.
gotten lucky once or twice with that, but it just happened. But basically, the emphasis really should be on stick striking. I think that's the best way to put it. It's a stick striking sport, and you are expected to strike with the stick. So you're not
Yeah.
supposed to punch, you're not supposed to kick, you're not supposed to do takedowns or things like that.
Okay. So, there's. I wanted to get your opinion on this because I see value in
Sure.
all formats of sparring. Just the fact that you're getting in there, stress inoculation, dealing, anxiety, and I just see value in
Right, right.
everything, every sparring. And it kind of
Yeah,
bothers me
pressure,
when
quick
some people.
decision making, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It bothers me when people kind of make fun, I guess, of WeCAF and this and that. And I think it's
Yeah.
wrong.
Right. Well, my opinion on that is, well, first of all, I have been guilty of that when I wasn't doing that, kind of like the exhibition. I think, sometimes when you haven't tried it yet and you misunderstand it, it's very easy to just make fun of it. And, I mean, until now, I would say that it's also understandable in the sense that if you do watch a Wake Up Live Stick match, I kind of get how it's difficult to understand what the heck is happening. So I can understand that. But yeah, I would say there's value in the sense that for me it's a game, and so in that game I'm developing attributes, or I have to develop attributes to succeed. There is a technical aspect to it that may not be so visible or very audience friendly, but yeah, I have an appreciation for it, but I can also get the criticism it receives, is what I would say.
Yeah, outside looking in, like, yeah, if you don't understand it and you see these guys just going in there just trading and all that, I mean, yeah, I guess it would be easy to be, make a negative comment
Yeah,
or, conclusion on it. But I look at it from like being in shape too, cardio. I mean, those guys got to
yeah,
good cardio. I mean, they're just ripping out quarter gabatas. I mean, how could you not,
right, right.
you know?
The one of the trainings that I did for that, or when I would prepare for that, is just to stand in front of one of those tire dummies, and I just throw as many half strikes and wrist strikes and witticks like within 1 minute, 2 minute nonstop, and it's a conditioning game, as I
Yeah,
would say
yeah.
actually. With padded point, my training there is very technique focused, timing focused. So those are different attributes. Whereas when I'm training for the live stick Wake Up events, I'm training to stay in there as long as I can. Like one of the things that I experienced in the earlier bouts or the earlier tournaments I did was, my hand or my arm would just go fully numb. I remember in the 2016 event. I think it was from the double stick event. Like after that match, my arms were just so paralyzed. I was sitting down. I was looking at the floor like a zombie, and my coaches were making fun of me because they were just talking to me, making fun of me, and I wasn't reacting at all because I was just so paralyzed by all that. Yeah, it's a conditioning game.
Yeah, definitely. I don't see how it's not. I mean, jeez. I mean, um, so so how'd you do in those? I mean, as far as those tournaments where you full gear and all that, how'd you compete in those? How'd you do?
You mean like performance wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did okay. Like it's not like if I were to rank my competition skills, the one I do best and most confident with is really the exhibition. Like for some reason I'm just like that wasn't my first choice, but that's what I'm most confident in. And then it's the point sparring.
And then okay.
Wait, no, I'm thinking now. Maybe actually, I'm not so sure if it's the point scoring and the wake up scoring. I think it fluctuates a bit. But I would say though that I prefer the point sparring as a game, as a sport. I enjoy that more, but I wanted to try the wake up thing, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
tried to go as far as I could with that.
So I
Yeah, I
mean,
won some bouts, lost some bouts. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think that goes for everybody. So you made a video, and I thought it was, I looked at your channel, and I thought it was pretty good the way there's some highlighting stuff, other stuff, but there's also some instructional aspect to it, which I thought was really neat. And one of them is like your tips on tournament sparring. And
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember
so
those.
for folks
That's
that
a
maybe were thinking about entering, let's say, for instance, the point sparring aspect, the 1 through 5,
Mhm.
whatever, like, what are your tips or recommendations, like, as far as, the video?
I have this tip that I give to like when if you're just starting out, one of the first things I say is don't treat this like a real fight. And I say this because it's a game, and if you're thinking of win, I mean it's completely different if you're doing this because you're trying to enhance your skills for fighting. Then I would say like if that's your priority, go ahead. Try to do what you would do in a real fight. But if you're there to compete and you're there to win, I think the orientation is really different because when I'm point sparring or when I'm doing wake up sparring, I'm gonna do things I might not do if I were actually threatened by a guy holding a stick for some reason. There's a lot of techniques or a lot of strikes wherein if you're, for example, with point sparring, the objective you have is to hit first, no matter what. So sometimes a strike is coming at me and I will make the decision to either escape or bluff or dodge, Or if I'm confident enough, I can just throw my fist in front of the guy and hope that that comes in faster. So we both get hit, we both get whacked. But if I'm confident that my forearm and wrist is going to be faster than his strike, then I go for that because I'm going to get the point anyway. So I can either neutralize his point or score a point. You're not going to do that in a fight. You're not going to see a
Yeah,
strike
yeah,
coming and go, you know what, I'll hit him too, right? It's
yeah,
it's going to be double dead, right? But yeah, it's things like that. I think that's the first tip I would give. Like it's a game. Treat it like a game. If you're trying to win, you should treat it like a game. And then look at the rules. Study the nuances, and then strategize based on the rules and not what you would do if it were a real fight. Because it's not a real fight. It's a game.
yeah. No, I think that's well articulated. Exactly. Like treat it, treat it for what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Treat it for what it is.
Yeah, and the thing is,
Yeah,
I think there's benefit from, just from the point of like getting there first. I mean, non-telegraphic, speed, accuracy. I mean, those are really good things to work and have. So,
yeah, I agree. You're developing attributes that could overlap also, especially if your objective is to learn how to fight and things like that. But if you're playing the game, you're in a tournament, just treat it for what it is. I would also say that for the most part, well, I mean, I think until now, I really identify as someone who plays a sport, who
mm,
practices a sport. So when I'm practicing, I'm thinking of practicing with orientation that I'm gonna apply it to these games, as opposed to something else or like for an
mm,
unprepared situation or for an unforeseen situation or something like that. That's not what I'm preparing for. I'm really preparing for the games themselves.
yeah. No, no, I like it. I like it. I like again. I think there's value in all of it. You know what I mean? As long as you're able to separate,
Right,
like the venues and what you would do here and what you would not do
right,
there,
right.
and um,
Compartmentalizing, I think is the word for that.
yeah. So we got some more comments coming in. Maestro Ron Saturno. Yeah, the way the armor that needs to be in great shape. Yeah, for sure. What else am I missing? We got Brian saying, hello, Mr. Bernas. We got, Paulo. Spar Daniel Manila. He's really good, super fast. Had a blast. We got Lawrence there, and we got a good way to look at it. We got Mr. Daniel. Please do a TikTok dance video with Anthony and his family. What's that? TikTok dance with Anthony and his family. I'm not sure who's. Do you know who he's referencing as far as Anthony?
I'm not sure either.
All right, Julius, you're gonna have to let us know as far as what.
I'm also not sure I do TikTok dances, but maybe with
Yeah,
a stick.
that's funny. But so as far as you're like again, you also really like the aspect of the where you're doing forms or free flow or a demonstration as far as that category. What advice do you have for folks maybe that would like to attempt that in the tournaments?
For forms, well, I guess maybe I have a bias really for just for freestyling. I think a lot of people are. Well, that might be generalization, but I think some people get intimidated by just coming up with their own movements and their own forms and patterns. And I would say, I think it's a lot cooler. Well, I guess for me to just play around and experiment because that way the moves really become yours and it becomes more personal and becomes more natural. So yeah, if you're doing forms, I think a great place to start is to experiment. So at least you're kind of getting more in tune with your body and more in tune with the movements. And then from there, I would say is developing stage presence, developing stage awareness. I think so. Sometimes I'm watching videos of exhibitions, and a common criticism I might have at the back of my mind is that what they're doing isn't favoring the camera or favoring the angle of the judges. So that's something you can practice. And what I like to do is I practice with a mirror. So I'm doing a movement and I look at it from different angles. If I face this way and I do it, does it look good to someone watching from here? If I
Mm,
face this way, if I face that way, and just being aware of that really helps a lot because judges are own can only perceive like one dimension, right? So if you have all the judges in one area, or the camera if you're making videos, it's only going to see a certain thing. So if you're like for example flowing and you turn your back, for example, the movements might be nice or they might feel good to you, but if the
they're
judge
not
can't see
seeing
it,
it.
then right. So that's something I think is very important to work on. So just getting comfortable with the movements, making them yours, making them personal, and then having an awareness of what the judges are actually looking at, orienting yourself and things like that.
I think that's wow. That's great advice. I mean, again, right? You might have great stuff, but if you're not doing it in front of the judges or you're constantly moving
Right.
and all that, I mean, they can be missing out on some really good stuff
Yeah.
that you're doing. You mentioned stage presence. Um, is there? I mean, like
I
how
guess
do you get them
another
to
thing to
really
that also, like
notice?
on stage presence, is well, you know, I was lucky enough to have because I was brought on as part of a team when I was in college to go to these martial arts festivals in Korea, and that just I mean, you know, you put in a stage in front of a public audience in another country, and you know, the first few ones I felt very nervous, very awkward, but that really just pushes you to be a bit more comfortable with just being in front of other people. So when I say stage presence, I mean just being comfortable with being in front of people, owning the stage, so
Mm,
to speak, moving around and not feeling conscious, not feeling yeah, I think it's really just a matter of body language, of just showing everyone that you know you're confidently in front of everyone. So that's what I mean by stage presence. I like to you know, a lot of practitioners do this, but I like to shout a lot, and I like to start my performances by just shouting as loud as I can, because that it's not so, I mean, it is also part of the theatrics, but on a personal note, you know, once you just let out your loudest way, at least for me, I mean, what else can you be shy of after that point, right? So it's just my way of just getting all that nervousness out and just being
oh,
comfortable. You know,
okay.
I've yelled as loud as I can. I've done something that would be publicly awkward in a different venue. So like at some point, like you know, once you've done that, there's nothing else I can do that's embarrassing, right? So now I can just move freely.
Not only that, it's probably a
And it's
relief
kind of like
too.
psyching myself up. Yeah.
It's yeah, I can definitely see that. Plus, it's probably you're releasing any anxiety or nervousness. You're just like right off the
Right.
bat, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I can definitely see that, the benefit of that. I think that's actually pretty clever. Yeah, just get it right out. And after that, like, what else you got to lose? I mean,
Right.
you just screamed in front of, 10,000 people.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Julius, I think let me see here. Okay, I guess what he referenced as far as the dance, you and your wife. So it would be good if there was a TikTok video about the combat measure heavy system of the.
Oh, you mean the Paete guys? I think he's talking about the
Yeah,
Paete.
yeah,
Yeah,
Anthony, right.
you know, I'm so fascinated by that style. Like that's something I want to like dabble with it a bit, or like just meet someone who like really teaches it, because I just find it so cool. Like you know the stances that they're doing, and then it's very technical. It's very
Yeah.
but yeah, it just looks really cool. So yeah, I would love to meet some people who do that and just make some videos or do an interview or something.
I keep hearing about that the Laguna style and all that, and I have to be honest, I'm not well versed in it,
Mhm.
but I'm definitely having interest as well to know more about it.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, from the commentary I'm reading, the combat measure heavy system. Yeah, like what I do know is it's very heavy on just precise measurements. So that's something that's
Mm,
quite fascinating for me.
yeah, that would be interesting. Um, so so what do you attribute like you I mean you're really like how do you use social media, your channel? I mean, you're getting on Instagram. I mean, you get a lot of followers and all that. I mean, what do you attribute your overall success as far as how to use social media and etc.? I mean, like, I guess what got you here at present day?
I think you know one of the things that I did early on when I was because this just started as me just documenting things, making a couple of vlogs and things like that. And you know, I really just enjoy. First of all, I think the important one is that I enjoy the process of making the videos themselves.
Mm,
And so, in fact, sometimes just for myself, I'll make a video that has nothing to do with earnings. I might not even post it, but I just like making videos themselves. So I think that's really important context there. So the process itself, I enjoy. And you know, when I started making videos a little bit more, and it was resonating with people, I was thinking, oh, you know what, this is something I can do a lot more of. People like it. It's giving some value. I studied a lot of I did a lot of self-studying with content creating by watching YouTubers, vloggers that don't necessarily do Filipino martial arts, because what I was trying to do was trying to understand how content creating works and how to make content that resonates with people.
mm,
And so yeah, so I watched filmmakers, I watched tech creators, I watched photographers, I watched them how they did their thing, and That all just lends an influence onto how I kind of do my own thing.
You can see it. I mean, like just I mean, I've watched a lot of your content in that, and they're so well done. I mean, something I couldn't
Thanks.
even fathom trying to achieve, and that's probably why I don't do it. But just the settings you pick, what you're doing, the angles, and all that. I mean, obviously, this is something that you've definitely researched and
Yeah,
done.
I think I would also like to say that I have a decent pulse on how what's trending at the moment, especially with
Mm.
TikTok. It really pays to know what sort of sounds are trending, what sort of video concepts are trending. Things get a bit more obscure in TikTok. Like sometimes the video concept itself is a bit obscure and hard to kind of describe, but you just kind of get it. So you just
Mm.
having a pulse in those things so that you can make content a bit more relatable to people. Especially if, for example, if I'm making videos about our niece and I want to target people who might not know anything about it. I might want to package it in a way that's a bit more palatable to someone who's just in TikTok casually, something like that, or just watching
Yeah.
casually.
No,
Because some I like to make niche content as well, but if you make niche content and someone doesn't care for earnings and they see it, they'll just scroll by.
no, whatever you're doing, obviously you're doing it well and correctly. I mean, just based on the followers
Thanks.
you have, and so obviously, um, I think it's great just seeing that and what you're doing overall for the promotion of the arts and all that. Just fantastic. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. So TikTok. That's what Julius keeps referencing. I have not ventured into the TikTok world yet, so
You should.
I should. Okay.
It's where, yeah, I mean for one thing, it's a lot faster to grow there right now. I'm sure, but it's slowly getting more saturated, I would think. But there's a lot of the content also right now that's on Facebook and on Instagram, they came from TikTok. So that's it seems to be a very strong content hub up right now.
Really, you're coming from there. So TikTok is basically, and again, I'm not claiming to know, but just for the little I've heard, is it where you just upload again, just many videos? I mean, is that the essence of it?
I mean, for me, it's a platform, and so as with any platform, it's really up to you how to use it. But the thing about TikTok, I guess, is that it has a certain culture to it, and so just getting acquainted with what the TikTok culture is, how people communicate there, how people make their videos there. It's a bit different than what you might expect from like a YouTube video or something else. Like, I mean, for me, when I make my YouTube videos, I try to go for polished, professional, cinematic. But when I go for TikTok, I go for something a little bit more casual because people don't always want to see like overproduced thing or like something that looks like an ad. Sometimes they just want to. Sometimes they'll watch a video of a guy who's just standing in front of you, and then there's all this text, and they're just gonna read that text. So it's quite interesting actually. You see all sorts of different
Hmm.
ways of going about it, but it's a lot more casual, I would say. But not to say that casual in the way casual in terms of aesthetic, but not necessarily in terms of the effort.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna have to check it out. Yeah. I'm not the most internet savvy. I'm getting there just by virtue of this channel and stuff like that, but I'm still pretty far behind to be honest.
I would also say, once you get in there, it becomes less intimidating, especially when you realize that, you can just keep posting because the videos aren't expected to be that long.
Mm.
You can do well with a 7 second, 15-second video. Like the easiest, like for me, the easiest thing I can do is just okay. So I stand up, I do some free flow, right? I might not even know what I'm gonna say later, but later on, like I take that clip. Maybe I want just like 7 seconds of that free flow session, and then I'll think of something interesting to say and just put the text on top of that, and you're done. It can be a lot simpler. So
Wow, I'd like that.
it's so I'm doing free flow. I'm not necessarily talking about something, but maybe when I'm already putting the video together on TikTok, I'll talk about I don't know, like my favorite my favorite stick, something like that. It doesn't even need to
Mm.
be related to the video itself. So things like that are the kinds of content that are quite easy to do. Also.
Yeah, all right. We got a question here from Made sure to mark it from Maestro Alvin. Guru Daniel, how do you manage the production and release of such high
Ah,
volume of content through your various social media accounts? Good question. How do you do it?
how do I do it? I think, I mean, along the line, the same way in terms of my practice, like I don't think of it in the sense that I have to get. No, wait, that's not right. I think what I'm trying to say is it's already part of my lifestyle. So sometimes it comes naturally to me, For example, just this afternoon, I met up with a friend, we did some night sparring to play. And I don't have to think, what kind of video I'm going to make today. It's just as we're sparring, I'm already documenting everything. And then
Mm.
later I'll figure out what to do with all of that. So I think it starts there, like just documenting your practice, documenting the activities that you're doing, just instinctually doing these things, and then figuring out how you're gonna edit it from there. And then when I edit it, um, for TikTok and for short form content, I try to be as simple as possible in the sense that I don't always, I mean, sometimes I do, but I don't always go for overproduced things, just so that I have more volume and more quantity. Um, but yeah, I think it's just that it. I think sometimes also there's an impression that I have so much content, but really I might only really post like a TikTok like twice or thrice a week, which isn't so much. But
Mm.
when you do that habitually and someone new comes on, it can look like a lot because you get fed all these older videos into
Okay.
your feed, and so it starts to look like you're there every day, right? So it's I think it's a matter of you just building that library like slowly over time with consistency.
I definitely see it because they're constantly seeing. I mean, here's the thing: if you're constantly putting stuff out there, you're gonna grow. I mean, you're gonna grow attention. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like I look
Yes.
at Burton. Like Burton makes my teacher Burton Richardson
Hmm.
makes a very conscious effort. Like every week, it could be past stuff, it could be present stuff, but he is posting stuff
Yeah,
almost every day. I mean, and
it's not
there's
a good
nobody
place to
telling.
start. Just post every day without overthinking it,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
you
there's
get
nobody
the hang of
telling
it.
me
Yeah.
it's not working. I mean, far as like the attention he's getting or the response he's getting, and that
Yeah.
we'll see here. We just see um you started okay. So with respect to your channel, I mean, you're starting to showcase other folks and systems. Like, what was the
Yeah.
inspiration for that?
So I think I started doing that. When did I start doing that? I think sometime in 2018, as we were vlogging in tournaments and things like that. We meet people, and I was like, it would be interesting to just, interview people and then just ask them for their take and stuff like that. And as we're doing that, we're making friends and things like that. And I thought, would it be interesting to just make this a regular thing? And so in that older channel that I used to have, it's called Team Dandinelli. It's a combination of my name and my wife's name because we were both doing that at the same time. What do you call it? So we would interview people and then just feature them and things like that. Because I thought it would be nice to just not just. I mean, it can also just really get. I can get bored of just talking about my stuff or just feeling myself. Sometimes I also, like I said, I enjoy the aspect of making videos and content creating. So
Mm.
sometimes I just want to operate the camera and just be behind it. That's something I like doing as well. And it's some and the videos I can produce also, I think, um I'm not sure if anyone knows this, but I would like to say that the videos I have of other people look cooler than the videos I have of myself, just aesthetically, because I'm managing it from the back, and so I can
Oh,
do all these minor tweaks. Whereas when I'm filming myself, it's just on a tripod, so I have to be very creative and things like that. But I'm digressing. So that started in 2018. Yeah, so making friends, just dabbling with it a bit, and then it just became a more serious thing. Something that also influenced that was I did this YouTube talk show called Usapang Ernie's. Basically Ernie's talk, direct translation to it. And it started out with me and this host, and we were talking about this. And then I also thought there that it might be interesting if we brought other people here.
mm.
And so we went to tournaments and then we interviewed them as well. So we did that in that other channel as well. So it's a combination of those two. What I am trying to do now, I had another thought, but I'll get to that later. What I am trying to do now is Trying to incorporate that into my personal channel, which I'm putting more focus on now. But and I think Brandon's video was kind of like an experiment to that, wherein I brought myself into the video. So I'm interviewing him, talking about him, but I'm also, in the video to introduce him, and then I'm also there learning something from him. So he's doing a tutorial. You guys can learn something from that, but also I'm in there trying to learn for myself. So it's kind of like win-win in the sense that I'm learning a bit of something, I'm making content, and then you guys are learning something as well. So trying to experiment um, with that formula. The other thing, my mind was digressing, but as I was studying content creating also, so this was an influence as well. I would say that it's also important to collaborate with other creators, other content creators. So this is my
Ah,
version of it. On a more, on a more businessy mindset, if you bring in other people to your channel, you're also bringing their followers. So they might see you, and they might like you, they might not. That's okay. But the point is that you're sharing your audiences with each other, so to speak. So,
yeah, I think
for
that's
example,
important.
right. I mean, like for example, like with this, right? So, my audience, some of my audience might be watching this. Oh, that's FMA discussion. Whereas people who are already following FMA discussion, oh, there's Daniel Bernas. So something like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's so important in our community to see more of us working together, and not just bringing FMA to the forefront, but also working together again, giving each other exposure and
Right,
that.
right.
Definitely done that a couple, with Paulo, bringing them on here so they get to obviously they see. Well, Paulo doesn't need me. I mean, he's already, Paulo's a internet monster. Um, so I got a
Yes, yes.
yeah, I got a question here from some that they sent in to me, and how do you go about selecting topics and guests for your platform
Selecting topics and what?
and guest for your platform?
When it comes to selecting topics, it's really, yeah, so I have a notes application on my phone, and when I have an idea, I just write it down. Sometimes that idea is very vague, and I have bullet points, and then sometimes that idea is a full on script, like it just comes to me. I write all my videos. Well, not the TikTok videos, but when it comes to YouTube and things like that. Sometimes ideas for TikToks come too, but I like to write. I guess is where I was going with. So I script these things, I write them. Sometimes they're vague ideas, sometimes they're concrete ideas, and then I will spend some time to sit down and just run through these things and then make them a bit more structured. So the ideas come to me, I write them in Heat, and then I polish them a bit, and then when they're polished, I produce them. In terms of guests, it's not so structured. So maybe I
Hmm.
might meet you in a tournament. I like you. Hey, let's do
Yeah, I
something.
like
Or
you.
I see your videos. Like I like your videos. Then let's do something. So it's a bit more informal there. It's important for me that what I'm doing is something I want to do. So it goes the same, I guess. It's not so much, I guess, who the people are, but I guess the energy that they're giving me as I get to know them. Like if it seems fun to make a video with them, like why not?
Yeah, definitely. Like I definitely could attest to. There's people I brought on here. They just had a vibe about them.
Right, right. Yeah.
I mean,
I go with the vibe.
yeah, like I didn't really maybe know them that well or about them, but I saw a vibe and that I thought would be neat to bring them on and stuff like that. And others, of course, they were just legit. I mean,
Yeah.
incredible history or background or influence in our community. Um, so let me just make sure. TikTok's a lot of fun and educational. I'm gonna have to check it out. Paula, I need you, Dim Bronco. That guy kills me. Um, okay, he's got a second part to the question. Where do you see your platform going in the future?
Where do I see my platform going in the future? I mean, I don't see it changing all that drastically. I would say that I have been experimenting a bit more on just, um, just sharing other aspects of myself. I would say, I like being there as a content creator for this FMA. But from time to time, like I've been exploring, just sharing other things, just trying to make things a bit more personal. In terms of changes, I don't really see any changes. Like I like how it is now. I like what I'm doing, so I don't really know where it's gonna go for now. I guess it's just a matter of more, so more of what I'm already doing.
Yeah, absolutely what you're doing. I mean, you're growing your popularity, so maybe it's not necessarily to fix anything or or
Right.
just keep going. um, so just again, you touched upon it. You did that, that collaboration with Brandon recently. What'd you get out of that? I mean, I know you mentioned you want to put yourself in there, highlight
Right.
him, and all
Right.
that. You know, so what'd you walk away with for your
What
training
do I
with him?
walk away with? I don't know, a friend. I mean, I like the little bits of pieces that I get in terms of understanding a different style or a different system.
Mm,
I don't really have any intentions right now of mastering anything new. It's really just a matter of getting different perspectives. I do a lot of what I would say just cognitively training other systems by just watching videos, and I might not physically do them, but I might just say, oh, that's a cool concept. Oh, okay, like just
mm.
kind of like opening my mind a bit. It's really just really just out of enthusiasm. I mean, I like FMA. I like the variety and the diversity in the style. So it's just fun, I guess, is what I would say.
So you got exposed to CAD, like again, the sword translation. Um,
Yeah.
is there, like, far as future tense or future collaborations, is there particular styles that you would like to be exposed to, but at the same time bringing somebody on your platform?
Yeah, as what was his name again? As Julius was inviting me to do, like I would love to explore the paete styles.
Mm,
Balintawak has always been on my checklist of things that I say I'm gonna do but never get around to. But yeah, those styles, like I like them for how they look. Like I mean, when I see them, it catches my eye, so it gets me very curious. So those are the top two that I'm thinking of. Trying out and maybe finding someone to collaborate with and then make a video.
oh, you'll find there'll be plenty of people you can. I mean, I'm sure they would be happy and honored to do anything with you. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. As far as it's just going to be the issue. Who do you pick? I'm guessing. Yeah, yeah, you're going to be fine there. Um, do you like? I know you gravitate towards the stick art. Do you find
Yeah, I would
yourself
say.
maybe one day like pursuing an edge that's predominantly edge weapon?
I mean, I dabble with the edge stuff from time to time, like I did with Brandon, and sometimes some people just give me these little pieces of things to try and work on and things like that. But the stick really resonates with me more, so it's for now it's really just the stick. But when I get presented opportunities, sometimes I'll take them, sometimes I'll learn a little bit. But in terms of what I really just practice on my own, it's really the stick. Like I think I hold the stick like every day, maybe just casually, like 1 minute I'm just flowing and then go back to work or something like that. But it's the stick that really resonates with me.
Yeah, that's okay. That's great. No, no. So overall, like, what do you have for as like I mean, long-term goals, not only for yourself, but maybe your current platform, future projects, future goals.
Right now, long term goals. Well, as the pages are growing, I'm just gonna keep making more content. I do want to do more collaborations. This is actually something I got really I really really wanted to do early on in the pandemic, because that and it was difficult to schedule these things because things here are not as lax as they are elsewhere. But as the cases are kind of easing and
Mhm.
restrictions are kind of easing, it's getting a lot easier and easier to just meet up with people. So yeah, more collaborations, definitely, just more experience. um, but yeah, I think my on the other side to it, more locally speaking. I mean, there is a lot of Arnis clubs in schools. It's being taught, but in terms of, I think, the support it gets and the attention it gets, considering that it is a national sport, I would say it's a bit lacking. It could do better. Like I would love to see Arnis, not necessarily the country's favorite sport or anything like that, but just a little bit more popular, a little bit known. There are still people who don't know it's a national sport. There's still people who don't know it's a thing here. I mean, and so really, when it comes to making content, I'm trying to put more spotlight on our niche as a sport. And TikTok actually is a great place to do that because the way TikTok works is that you are pushed out more in the country that you're in. I don't know if anyone is
Okay.
aware about, but so when I'm posting on TikTok, I know that most of the people are in the Philippines watching this. Whereas when I post on YouTube and Instagram, it's a bit more diversified. Lately, because of my TikTok growth, the percentages of Filipinos in my YouTube and Instagram following just like kind of went up because they got transferred from there. But when I started out Instagram and YouTube, I noticed it was mostly people in the US, the UK, and things like
Mm.
that. So yeah, so now that I'm building an audience through TikTok in the Philippines, I'm hoping it helps with just giving that spotlight to the sport.
Yeah, wow, fantastic. I didn't realize about TikTok. It's kind of geographically speaking.
Yeah,
I think that's fantastic as far as your goal is promoting, our Nismo in your country. That I guess for those who don't realize it's a national sport, I'm guessing that's, yeah. It's funny, like I just remember, and who made me, I think, first privy to this was having GM Renee on, that, through the kids program, it's growing and growing. But I just remember, like, there was a time, I guess, basketball and taekwondo were more popular as far as our niece and that. And I always found that kind of sad. You guys have this national treasure for an art, and yeah, so and I'm sure that's
I,
improved. Yeah.
I recently made
Uh-oh. Not sure what happened there. I don't know if you lost internet, battery died. We'll find out soon. No, Daniel, you just left platform. Huh. Yeah, definitely you're not on here. And I'm assuming the audience is not seeing you either because Sachi just sold the interview. I won't be as exciting as Daniel and Sachi. Yeah, definitely just, yeah, use the same link. That should bring it back on, hopefully. So strange. What can I talk about in the meantime? So, who is coming next? I think Jose Perez got Saturday. Master Lalo. He's out of Texas. Really good guy. I believe he's next. I confirm that. Log him back in. Okay. Also, kicking off the joint online seminars with folks, and I'm hoping after doing a few, folks will just start to work among themselves and do some collaborations. So that's been taken off, and hopefully it'll continue.
hello, hello.
There you go. Yeah, you just went like
That was weird.
blackout. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
my connection's fine. The phone's fine. It just but and I was still in the call. Like I could hear you, but you weren't hearing
That's
me.
interesting. Yeah. I mean,
I just exited it and then went back in.
it does happen once or twice. I know I can't even give any explanation, rationale
Might be a
why it
browser
occurred.
thing because I am using a browser.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you were
I
we
forgot what I
were
was talking about.
talking. Yeah, yeah, good question. I thinking we were on the long-term goals for yourself, future projects, I believe.
Oh, I was yeah. We were talking about how popular or not so popular it is.
Oh, not so,
I was
but
sharing
right.
yeah I was sharing that I recently made a video and I just asked what do you think that what is the national sport and I didn't say anything, but I actually included some clips of our niece there, and then after I asked that I said I'm sure I'm gonna get so many different answers and I
Mm.
did I still got so many different answers in the comments and these are all Filipinos so there's still a lot to be done, I think, in just kind of putting that into the national consciousness of our nieces are national sport. So whether or
Absolutely.
not people take an interest in it or they like it, that's totally up to them. I just wanna give it a bit more of a chance to be a bit more popular, I think.
Yeah, at least they, like you said, even if they don't maybe necessarily participate, but at least they know what the national sport is.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, I
I
mean,
think at the bare minimum, that's what I'm going for. I
yeah,
can't
yeah,
force people to like something, but at least they know that we have this.
yeah. But if I'm not mistaken, and again, this is only because I just had GM Renee recently on, it's still being offered in the school systems and
I
college,
mean,
right?
yeah. From what I know, it's a lot. It's. I think it's safe to assume that most public schools have it, but I do know some private schools that don't have it at all. So it's not fully
Yeah.
enforced or anything like that. But I mean, for excuse me, for the most part, it is in schools. At least as an elective or a club or something like that.
That's still though, that's still really big and significant, you know. All
Actually, a
right.
lot of the tournaments that I go to, the clubs, they tend to be school based, so it's a
Mm,
great place to just build a club, build an organization, and start
yeah,
winning events.
absolutely, absolutely. So we got so Daniel, did you? Yes. Well, I don't think Sachi was here in the beginning. Daniel, did you compete when you were in
Yeah,
college? What college did you
yeah, college.
graduate from? Just curious.
I'm from Ateneo, so that's where I learned and competed with.
Okay. And just Daniel, were you a member of the National Arnis team?
Yeah, let's see. There's a lot of politics there. I was in a national team. I have represented the Philippines, but I'm not a member of the currently formed PECAF sanctioned national artist team. So that's politically
Mm.
correct answer to say. So yeah, I represented the Philippines as part of national teams, but not
Mm.
the current, very more organized, very polished version of it right now.
Of the polished version of the with political or some politics on.
Because it just recently came back into the Southeast Asian Games and things like that. So now we
Oh,
have a national team that gets paid to train. They are government recognized. Whereas
mm.
before, sometimes it's really just different orgs and clubs sending their own delegates to these different events all over the world and things like that. So
Okay.
things are a bit more streamlined now.
So what are you? Do you have any plans of re-entering the tournament? Was the last one you did? Was it
Yeah,
2018?
the last serious one I did was in 2018, which was the World Championships in WECAF. For now, I'm really just enjoying the content creating and just focusing also on work life and things like that.
Yeah.
So not so much in the competing because when it comes to the serious competitions, it's a commitment. The training, the consistency, and you're not going to want to train for all of that if you're not going to go all out and things like that. So I do play from time to time just these niche events. Like for example, there's if you're familiar with the Carlos Hermanos group,
Yeah. You just were you? I think you and
yeah,
Brandon. Yeah.
yeah, that's where Brad and I met. They organize this knife sport tournament. So it's not
Mhm.
an FMA tournament per se, but they are an FMA group. But they invited fencers and things like that. So events like that, I'll come there to play, not necessarily, it's nothing like a national tournament or world
Yeah.
championship like that. But these things are fun, so I still like to play, and then I'll play casually, like with friends, like this afternoon. I'll meet up with someone, we'll just whack each other, and then we're good. So I play now more than I train to compete. So it's all just
Yeah.
for fun,
That's
all for
okay.
leisure.
You know. That night tournament looked pretty fun. I saw some
Not that
clips.
I'm closing the door, but just for now,
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, have you? Was that your first experience with the Carlos Hermanos that knife tournament?
That was my because it was a two tournament back to back, two tournaments
Mm.
back to back. But the first one I did was just before the lockdown started, so that was like early 2020. And then they were supposed to host another one, and then we had the lockdown, and then it kind of just stopped there. So that was their comeback. So I joined also like in 2020.
Yeah. It looks pretty fun what they got going on there. You know.
It is. It's really fun. I like the format. I particularly like us, in typical Arnis tournaments. For example, you're supposed to your event is just one division. Once you lose or get eliminated, that's it. You're done. You're out. Goodbye.
Yeah.
The format that the Carlos Hermanos group is following for the knife sport is similar to the fencing pool format. I don't know how to explain it well articulatedly, but basically you get to fight a bunch of different people. Then your scores are tallied before we start eliminating people from the event.
Oh, okay.
So you get a bit more matches, a bit more experience. You're not just taken out the moment you lose. So
Ah, I like that.
it's worth yeah.
Yeah, you get a chance. Like you go there, so you get a chance to compete. Just after you lose,
You
your
get a
first
few
win.
rounds before you get kicked out
Yeah, you're
if you
out.
lose.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And but at least, yeah, you
That
get some
way, yeah, right.
opportunities. Huh. Yeah, good on them for that. That's pretty neat. Maybe perhaps more will follow their outline. It sounds like a good one. You know, but so,
I like it.
but this has been great. I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, any final closing
Thanks
thoughts
for
for the?
inviting me.
Oh, yeah, my
Um,
pleasure. For the
Nothing comes to mind, but I enjoy this talk. I like talking FMA. I like
yeah.
talking content. So I'm having a good time. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure. Any final closing thoughts to the FMA community?
Um, I love FMA. You guys love FMA. So let's keep loving FMA together.
Keep working together, absolutely. And you're part of that. I mean, you're bringing people on, collaborating, so you're part of that now. So you're actually doing something about it. So that's great. So all of us together, hopefully, will continue to keep raising it up, right?
Yeah.
That's all we can do. But all right, hey, well, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you, and best of luck to
Thanks.
you. I don't think you're going to need it because you're a hot internet item.
Thank you.
All right, Daniel, you take care.
You too. Good
All right.
morning and good night. Bye.
Fine. All right, that wraps up episode 233, right? Yeah. I've oh yeah. So not the next one actually is tomorrow night with I don't know how I forgot that already. Guru Ramon of Kiro. He's actually just going to be doing demos. So that's episode. I'm getting my episodes here messed up. Hold on. That will be episode. Today was 323. That'll be episode 324 tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be 8 a.m. Wednesday morning in the Philippines. That's episode 324 with Guru Ramon of Kiro. Again, he's going to be just doing demos. So if there's something you'd like to see for him do, by all means, let him know or myself know, and we'll make sure he covers it and shows it. Okay? All right, folks. We'll see you next time.